Mayong adlaw, ¿cómo estás? Coming to you from Balbal, Cordova, just outside Cebu City. Now, today I'm going to tell you a story about something amazing that I've observed multiple times while I've been here. But this situation that I encountered recently was so striking to me that I really felt compelled to actually relay it to you, the viewer. A couple months back, I was at the mall here in Cordoba, the Gasano. I'm there to get some cat litter, I believe, which is, one of the primary reasons why I have to go there because, I can find it there. I noticed this very tall, overweight, elderly man walking with the cane and moving very, very slowly. And he caught my eye because, I do the vlogging and I'm thinking, man, I wonder what that guy's story is. And, he's probably been here a long time or something. Well, me being the kind of a guy that I am, I decided to approach him and talk to him. He had sat down on this little sitting area that they have there. And I just came up and plopped down next to him and I said, hey, and I introduced myself and started asking him questions. And he told me his name. Now, I'm going to change his name. I'm not going to give you the real name. Now, here's the deal on that. I had asked the dude if he would be willing to do a video for my YouTube and do an interview. He was not into it, but he was totally fine with me telling his story just as long as I didn't mention any names. Now, I don't know if he's, got something going on that he didn't want anybody to know about, but I'm just joking. He didn't. Mostly, a lot of people are shy, and it's really tough to get people to come on cam and do interviews with me. A lot of people just aren't into it. Hey, not everybody is, into exposing themselves to the whole world like me. So anyways, he tells me that he was living in the South somewhere, and that his name is John. 82 years old was John. And John was probably, I'm 6'2", and I'd say John was pushing, 6'3", 6'4", and, with a little hunched overness and walking with the cane. So big guy, and probably maybe 100 pounds overweight. All right. So he had, the swollen legs and, his skin was kind of discolored from, lack of blood flow and everything, and just really struggling. And I said, so John, what brought you to the Philippines? And he's like, listen, I'm 82 years old and I sold everything that I had. Never been to the Philippines before in my life, but I was just so sick of the way that things were going in the United States that I had to get out of there. And I thought, I'm going to sell everything I got. I have no kids. I have no obligations. I've got nothing. I'm packing it all in, and I'm going to come to the Philippines, and I'm going to die here. I'm like, oh, well, okay, Of course, I get that because I'm telling you guys to do the same thing all the time, right? So I'm digging this. I'm thinking, boy, he's really going to have a struggle. And I said, well, John, why don't you get yourself, a helper or find yourself a girlfriend? He's like, well, I've been thinking about it, but I don't really know how to go about doing that. So I gave him a few tips and whatnot. We talked for a little while, and he wanted to leave. And so I literally had to put out my arm and walk him out of the mall to the taxi area. And in Cordoba, there's not any queued up taxis. So we had to wait for a taxi to drive by and flag it down. And while I was holding him there, he's like, oh, I just need to sit down. Oh, I just need to sit down. And he was having a really rough time. And there was no place for him to sit. So I just held on to him. And one of the tricycle guys there that knows me, I kind of nodded to him and I said, hey, bro, can you help me flag a taxi? So he flagged a taxi for us. And he and I both had to help John into the taxi and lift his legs into the car. And that's how immobile John was. And he was sweating and out of breath and just really struggling, right? So he went on his merry way, and but he stuck in my mind. I was thinking about him. I came home. I told my wife about it, and I'm like, man, I met this dude, and he had a great story of how he was sick of the States, and he was sick of everything, and he was sick of being anonymous and the grumpy people, and the lack of opportunity to socialize and to do things, and how he just felt like he was stagnant there, and how he just took the plunge, he took the risk, and he just hopped on a plane after selling everything and came to the Philippines. So, we put him into our prayers that night, and, kept mentioning him here and there, and he was on my mind. So the other day, I'm at the mall again, and I see a guy, and I'm looking at him, I'm kind of like, is that the guy? Is that John? And he's, walking. He's got his cane, but he's barely even putting any support on it. Looked thinner, looked healthier. I kind of have bad eyesight, so I just got up from where I was sitting. I kind of walked forward to him, and I'm like, looking at him. I'm like, yeah, that's the dude. That is the dude. And I swear to you, he probably dropped 30 pounds, and this is a month in between. About exactly, a month, maybe 5 weeks in between. And I'm like, John, is that you? And he turns and he looks and he's like, yeah. He didn't remember me. And I said, hey, do you remember me? I met you last month sometime and helped you get a taxi. And he's like, oh, yeah, that was you. Hey, how you doing? I said, I'm doing great, but more importantly, how are you doing? And he's like, I'm doing great. And I'm like, I can tell. I mean, you're more mobile. You look like you've lost some weight. You look like things are going well. You look like he literally looked like 5 to 10 years younger. I mean, more spry, more mobile, more upbeat. And I said, John, what happened? And he said, well, I got myself a helper / girlfriend. And I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. But he's like, bro, I tell you what, it just lifted my spirits. It gave me something to live for. When I was in the United States, I felt like I was dying. I felt like there was nothing left for me, and I was debating whether I should just pack it all in. And but something in me told me, maybe if I go to the Philippines, my life will change. Maybe I'll get healthier. Maybe I'll meet someone. Maybe I'll find a social outlet, something, anything. And so I just rolled the dice and I came here. I said, oh, that's great, And I told him, I praised him. I'm like, dude, you look significantly better. I mean, it's just obvious, and I can tell. So as we're talking, this girl walks up. She's about 42. She's in her 40s, and she comes up and she puts her arm around John, and John introduces her as May, and he says, "This is my new girlfriend, May, and we've been together about 4 weeks." And she wasn't like a young whippersnapper, super duper hottie or anything like that. She was older, average looking, but she was happy with the situation, and he was ecstatic with the situation. I mean, being 82 and having a 40-year-old who, is doing all the things that are tough for a guy at his age, especially in the health condition that he was when I first saw him. But it was night and day, you guys. I'm telling you, it's night and day. So John gave me his contact number. I tried to negotiate, a way that we could do a video, and he was adamantly against it. But he said, feel free to tell my story if it helps any other person out there. More power to him. But he wanted me to specifically say that if you are living on your own, and this is what I always say, he didn't say this, but ultimately it meant the same thing. If you're on your own and living like a dead person where you're at, come to the Philippines and you'll be alive and you'll feel young again. So He did say we'll feel young again, but living like the dead person, that's my kind of quote. That's a quote from me. Me. So anyways, so John is not a unique case, all right? But he was the most striking in my most recent past. I've met multiple people that have come here with all kinds of issues, all kinds of depression and things like that. And lo and behold, they came here and something happened that just made them happy and gave them a purpose. And where they're from, no purpose. I mean, think about it. You're in the States, you're retired, you have no family, and you can't, really do yard work or get out and do things like that because of your health and whatever. It's a risk, right? It's a risk that John took. It's like the Hail Mary at the last second of the football game. The quarterback throws a long bomb, hoping that his wide receiver catches it near the end zone and they score a touchdown. Well, John threw a Hail Mary, and the wide receiver caught it, and he scored that touchdown. And many other people that I've known in my past that I've met along the way in this trip of my 14 months here and in my other trips, the Philippines absolutely saved their lives. So listen to me. This is the same thing that I always say. If you're on the fence and you're living your life alone and you're unhappy and you feel like you have no purpose, and what do you got to lose? Pack it all in, sell your crap. It's only crap, and get out of Dodge. Come somewhere where you have the opportunity to do things that you've never been able to do before in your life. And heck, if anything goes south, who cares, right? If you got to go back to the United States or wherever you're from, so what? At least you tried, right? There are so many people that don't have the guts to even try. Be the one that has the guts to just try it. And statistics show, well, this is fact, Google it. Statistics show that travel raises the level of happiness. And I want to tell you something. Humans were not designed to be unhappy. They've done so many multiple, myriad, extensive studies on depression and how it raises your cortisol. And cortisol creates inflammation. And inflammation leads to heart disease and all kinds of other terrible ailments that can end or shorten your life significantly. So as human beings, when we are sad and we are depressed and we are unhappy, odds are we're also going to be sick on top of that. So travel, especially coming here, is like medicine. And it doesn't always work that way for some people. Some people are just too far gone at that point. But if you've got the ability to walk, talk, and spend money, the Philippines is a place for you. So John's story is not unique, but it's definitely something for you guys to ponder and to consider. And if you're, 60, 70, 50, 40, 20, who cares what your age is, and you're hating your situation wherever you're from, change it. You got your one life to live, and it's time to live it. So guys, thanks for watching. Remember, all I'm trying to do is just encourage people to go against the grain, to not be part of the status quo, to broaden your horizons and step out of your comfort zone, because your comfort zone sometimes is a jail cell. You don't realize it, but you've been incarcerated by your own four walls, your own four-walled world of incarceration. Sure, there's no bars, but you're incarcerated, and you have no consciousness of the fact that you are incarcerated. So open those doors, flap your wings, and fly free, because you're not a jailbird. Come to the Philippines. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.